Yeah, I think we'll do the same thing we've done, throughout points in the season, including, game 4 against the Padres there in San Diego. And I think our expectation is just to have communication from the staff about what it might look like and how things might line up. But we'll just go one pitch at a time, one batter at a time, and then try to stack up zeros and, hopefully get a lead and finish this thing.
Is there something to being able to finish this here in Los Angeles in front of the home crowd?
That's certainly exciting. Fortunately we have the next 2 games at home if necessary. So the opportunity to do it here in LA in front of these fans will be hopefully really special.
How much did that Game 4 against the Padres just kind of serve as like a proof of concept? Like I know you guys have done bullpen games during the season, in that kind of environment, just to see it work the way it did going into tomorrow.
Yeah, I suppose doing it at that time on a big stage like that in an elimination game, it shows that we're braced to do it at any point. And I think we've kind of built up that confidence and that equity in bullpen games over the course of the past few seasons. Really, my whole time as a Dodger, bullpen games have been a piece of how we run things here. So we're certainly excited about the opportunity to have a piece in it tomorrow.
You guys haven't pitched a ton, especially you and Kopech and Trinan and Huddy. How much of an advantage in this series? How much of an advantage is that, both from a rest standpoint and also just the fact that a lot of these guys have only seen you one time so far this week?
Yeah, I think generally, comparatively speaking, against the Padres, playing them the week before the postseason started and then rolling right into their series, there was a lot of recency there. Plus them being in division. So oppositely now with the Mets, we haven't seen them as much throughout the course of this year. Especially now, like you said, in this series, we've kind of been protected, from some of their guys in the lineup. And I think the rest is probably more important, to keep our guys fresh, for tomorrow and Game 7 if necessary. But I think those 2 things hopefully are in our favor tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to go here to the left, Bob.
Yeah, but with the bullpen games, how much of a different feeling is it you're going to pitch tomorrow compared to a regular season, having no idea if you're going to get the game or not?
Yeah, there's something a little bit different to that. I think the benefit for us is that bullpen games are, somewhat of a regular thing to the point where we're braced for whatever situation we're called upon for that day. And that communication will come to us pregame, and we'll be ready to go for sure.
And so far this postseason, the relievers have pitched more than starters have throughout baseball. Do you think they'll ever revert back, or is this the same?
I think baseball's in a really great spot right now. I think you're seeing a lot of talented, players on both sides of the ball, shine. And I think starters, being able to go, hypothetically 5 strong innings, and then you have really great bullpen arms come in behind them. It's part of just, the strategy these days.
Okay, we move back to Shai on the left.
Hey, if you're going to be facing the same guy in a few days consecutively or in a very short span, do you feel the need to alter what you did the last time just to give them a different look so they don't cheat to an approach, or how do you adapt the game plan if you're seeing somebody multiple times in a short period?
A lot of that is felt, in the moment, within each at bat. Thankfully, from our game planning point of view, we have more than one way to get a guy out. So whether or not we showed our whole game plan to one guy, it's probably unlikely that we did so. So we still feel confident, even if we faced a guy a couple times or back-to-back days, whatever it may be, we still feel confident in our plan.
How do you read or adjust in a situation if you do feel maybe a batter is cheating to an approach that they may have seen already?
Yeah, I think that's something that's between the pitcher and catcher relationship, and it's something that Will and Austin Barnes do such a great job of throughout the regular season, is getting a feel for the game, and something that the starters might see throughout their stint, or even an at bat that a batter had against a different reliever that might change the way I do something. So that chemistry that's built up throughout the course of the year, plus that experience you get in the postseason really helps in situations like that.
Do we have anything else, Robert? We're going back yet to Bob.
And with experience closing games and stuff, when you look around the postseason this year, in Class A, it was unhittable pretty much through the season, strong in the postseason. You empathize with guys like that, closers who are going through some tough times in this postseason?
Yeah, of course. This game's really hard, and I think you're seeing that across every team throughout the playoffs, right? It's these pitches carry a lot of weight. I'm definitely feeling for Class A in this situation. I think I have no doubt that he's, feeling emotionally stressed out about this, but maybe he has an opportunity to bounce back and right it for himself. But it's just these pitches carry extra weight in the postseason, so I think that alone makes it tough.
Can we get anything else? We go to Hazel.
At this point of the season, I don't think anybody is 100% healthy. How has your preparation for a game changed? Are you pulling back on certain pre-game workouts, or are you throwing less? What are you doing at this time of the season?
I think generally guys try to stay, stay normal, try to keep everything as normal as possible. You'll have to adjust here and there, and typically that's based on, workload or where your physical health is at that point. And I can probably explain it best like on a scale, right? Like if one thing's, not feeling as great, I'm probably gonna add more time to that today than I would something else. So, but it's the postseason. So whatever my 100% is that day is gonna be my 100% when I get out there.
Start with Kristen.
Dave, yesterday I know ahead of the game we talked about just that sense of urgency you were looking to go into these. When you look at Game 6, now back at home, a bullpen game, how is that just the approach of not having to get to a Game 7 and feeling like tomorrow truly is a must-win for this team?
It is going to be a bullpen game, similar to what we did in Game 2, with expectation of better execution. How we use the guys, I'm not sure yet. Obviously, that's a lot of it is dictated on, how they construct the lineup. But it's an all hands on deck situation, and that's how I'm going to look at tomorrow. And with the pen, there's only so much you can push each guy. So it's kind of just depending on where they're at as far as kind of hitter, pitch count, all that stuff.
Is that just, I guess, kind of the balancing act with managing a 7-game series is just kind of having to want to go all in for Game 6, but also have to be ready for a Game 7 potentially?
Yeah, but I do feel that, as our focus is still on Game 6, whatever it takes, we're very well equipped to prevent runs for a potential 2 games, yeah.
Hey Dave, 2 questions. First one's probably going to be kind of annoying. Is Ohtani available to pitch either of the next 2 nights?
He is not. Thank you for asking.
Sure. Just wanted to see if I can get on TV in Japan.
Well played.
Since day one in this job, you have always been very good at identifying leverage in games and essentially hammering, their best guys with your best guys. I'm just curious though, thinking about this series, what you have learned about that sort of strategy in a 7-game series, thinking back to Morrow pitching 7 times in 2017, and just the cost of exposing your guys over and over, and how maybe you've evolved on that.
Yeah, I have evolved. I think that in any one particular moment, I think that, as it starts initially, there's speaking to the relievers, there's a trust tree. Guys you feel in the highest of leverage. And, in each moment, you feel that that's always the best option. And for fear that if you go somewhere else or with another player and it doesn't work out, you didn't deploy your best option in that moment. And that's kind of the inner struggle that I think any manager has, and I've lived it. I think, for me, experience, having gone down that road, having some successes, but also some failures. And, and I think that I've learned from that. And again, it's not easy. It's always good when your choice works out, whether it's the process is right or the trust in a certain player is right. And when it doesn't work out, you got to sort of reassess and reevaluate if the process was right. So I think that's probably my biggest takeaway. And, we have 2 games here, potentially 2 games here. And I feel that to prevent runs, we're in a very good spot. I don't think we've exposed our high leverage guys at all. And that's part of kind of the learning curve for me over history, yeah.
Okay, Jack.
Have you talked to Freddie yet today, and is there a decision about him for tomorrow yet?
I haven't talked to him yet. I know he's in the training room right now. I mentioned last night that I do think that his swing has been compromised because of the ankle, and he's grinding. So, you know, as I sit here, I'm expecting him in there, but until he's not. But if it's costly for him, for us, then we'll certainly pivot.
And then when you say the pitching plan being similar to game 2, does that mean trying to get some bulk innings from whether it's Nat or somebody else kind of early in the game to bridge to your higher leverage guys later? Or could you be more aggressive with those guys earlier than last
I think we can be a little bit more aggressive.
Maybe put down either one in front.
I guess kind of to that, like, how do you weigh in the fact that you have this, like, obviously, if you win tomorrow, the series is over, but you might have 2 games. Like, how do you kind of balance that?
I think, you know, doing everything we can to win tomorrow. I just don't think there's much cost, given that we have an off day today, where the pen is at, where the starters are at, would bleed into the next day. So I just don't think there's much cost. How I kind of manage tomorrow.
Do you have like an opener yet?
We don't. We're the guys will be out there shortly. They're going to go through their catch play. I really don't. I don't know, and I'm not sure. No.
Can you go to Mike?
Yeah, to sort of follow on Jack's question, Mike, of your 3 to 4, maybe 5 highest leverage guys, how many of those guys are you comfortable going 4 outs, maybe even 5 outs with?
Few of them. Yeah. You know, given where we're at today with the off day and talking about tomorrow, I think a few of them for sure. Yeah. I think they'll do whatever is asked of them, for sure. But obviously, Mike, the game situation certainly matters. You know, if it's victory formation, we're going to do whatever it takes.
You here on the left?
Hi. You mentioned about Shohei's base running last night. So, did you talk to him about it?
Our Dino, he will talk to him.
How was that?
I didn't follow up. Yep, it won't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
On the right, Bill?
Another evolution question for you. How has your confidence in winning bullpen games changed over the years?
You know what? I feel that, I think I've always felt, Bill, that a bullpen game gives you a really good chance to prevent runs. There's a cost afterward. You know, you're talking about regular season games typically. The win-loss, that the offense scoring matters too. But I do think in a vacuum, bullpen games give you a chance in a vacuum to prevent runs, certainly. I still stand by that.
And if we had told you in spring training that you'd be running a bullpen game to try and get in the World Series?
I would have taken the other side of that.
One more. To put it bluntly, with Freddie, has it gotten to the point where you feel, as noble as his effort is, that he's hurting the team by being in there?
So I think that one component, if you're looking at the results of the last handful of at-bats, you could argue that point. But I could also argue that him doing whatever he can to be on the field and to post, I think speaks loudly in that clubhouse. So then the decision is, you know, net sum, what makes the most sense to win the game tomorrow? And that's the decision we'll make together. But I'm not going to compromise his health or certainly winning a game tomorrow if he's not mentally and or physically ready to go.
Okay, Fabian?
To follow up on the pitching points, like, obviously you want to win tomorrow, but like, if you are deploying all your leverage guys tomorrow, are you guys in a spot where you have enough pitching coverage for a potential Game 7?
Absolutely, we do. That's part of the kind of the math when you're in a minus game. You know, the last game, that's part of the math too. Yes, we're covered with preventing runs, absolutely.
And pinch hitting for Will yesterday, was that just matchup?
He took a foul tip or a bat to the hand, the back of the hand on one of the plays, and I didn't learn about this until he was in the hole last night, and he just gave me a heads up. So for me, at that point in time, I just felt that, just to kind of give Gavin a chance at Stanek to take a look at him, and then get Austin in there to catch.
Was it his throwing hand or his catching hand?
Catching hand.
And is that, so that's a concern?
We looked at it. It's tests were negative, so I'm expecting he's here today. I don't know if he's going to hit on the field, but my expectation is he'll be in there tomorrow.
Okay, good luck, everyone. Right there.
Dave, what are you seeing out of Teoscar in this series?
I think Teoscar is missing fastballs. That's the number one culprit. I think they're just kind of bullying him with the heater. So midline, top zone. I think Manaya's going to do the same thing tomorrow. So I think if you can't hit the fastball and move it forward, you just expose yourself up to cheat to get to spin, and that's kind of the main thing.
And then with Freddie, like how much are you going to weigh in the fact that there is a left-hander on tomorrow?
That's part of the math. That's part of the math, certainly. I'm just going to go talk to him and just check in on where he's at. But I'm not going to make a decision today. I don't think we need to, and then we'll just kind of come in tomorrow, see where he's at. But knowing the arm who's starting, certainly that's part of it.
I have to imagine that also goes into with Gavin Lux and him being out there tomorrow, but just in general, how is he doing with that hip flexor?
Gavin is doing better each day. I don't think we risked anything by getting him in at bat yesterday. He's not 100%, but with today being off, tomorrow not starting, I think that we're getting into a good spot. So hopefully we're out of the woods with Gavin, but not 100%, but getting better.
Okay, Bob, right behind you.
Hey, Dave, in this series, why do you think whoever gets the lead doesn't, not only they don't give it up, but they blow their team out? Is it the bullpens or what's going on?
I think that's part of it. I think that, leverage relievers are leverage relievers for a reason, and typically, certainly I think across baseball, managers are being more aggressive once they catch a lead and go with those guys, and it's just hard to, get back into a game or tack on. And so when you're seeing other arms, I think it just kind of exposes other teams' pens, and I think we've done a really good job. But I will say what Brent Honeywell did for us yesterday, I don't think he's thrown this many pitches in a big league game, was huge. And so, yeah, they tacked on, but what he did for us is going to really help us going forward, for sure.
The relievers this whole postseason have pitched more innings than starters. Do you think it'll ever revert back to the way it was one day, or it'll always stay this way?
I think so. I hope somewhere in the middle, more towards the starter going longer. I don't think there's a manager that would say that they want their starter to face 19 hitters or 20 hitters in a game. But once the game is happening in real time, you just got to weigh which option is better. But I think absolutely, I'd love to, have John Smoltz or Greg Maddux go 7 shutout, or throw a 1-hitter or 2-hitter in a World Series game. That'd be great.
Okay, we can take one more on the left here. In the middle.
Dave, in the last week or so, Kike's talked a lot about how he uses visualization, and that's why he's been sort of successful. I'm wondering if you use that, and then just thinking back to these last 2 games, your 3 pennants have all been clinched on the road. What would it mean to clinch something here?
I visualize, Eric. I do. I have quiet time. I do visualize seeing good things happen. What it would mean to be here would be awesome. I think it'd be great for our fans. It'd be great for our players. And so, obviously we know what that means. So it's always fun to clinch, but to be able to do it at home is something really special.
And just to clear up too, we talked about all hands being on deck. I know we've talked a lot about Yamamoto as a specific plan. Is he available in relief in India?
He's not one of the hands. So that's fair. Very fair question.